How you doing? Tom here, sharing another video for you. This one's not going to be quick like I normally want it to be. This one will be a little bit longer because I'm going to talk about real estate investing. I'm going to talk to you with a couple steps. It's going to be 7 steps exactly what you need to do to become a real estate investor. If you don't know, I've been investing in real estate for over 15 years. I got into it accidentally. You know, a lot of times you don't always set out to do it. I had an idea I wanted to do, get into real estate investing, but the time presented itself because in the Army, I was in the Army at the time. The Army said, hey, you're going to get ready to deploy, go overseas. And my wife was also in the Army at the same time. And we said, why don't we turn our newly bought property into a rental property? The previous guy we rented from the last 2 years, he was a property manager. We said, let's use him as a property manager. And so it made it a lot easier to get into real estate investing because we knew the property manager, which is always key. So like I said, I'm going to 7 steps to go over that. First one is credit. You've got to have good credit. It's not going to be, you don't have to have the best credit. You don't have to have the worst, but you also don't need to have the worst credit. So if you have the bad credit, you need to work on building it up, making it a little bit better. Because of that, you will get a better loan from that. When you have a better loan, it'll a lot lower your costs when you pay your mortgage. A key one to look at if you're going to a bank, a lot of times you may not need a lot of money. So look for an FHA loan. I believe it's Federal Housing Authority or something like that. That type of loan, because you'll get in at a lower cost when you get that loan. You don't want to go into buy a house and offer borrow money from people. I recommend not doing that, because if you need to borrow money from somebody to get a down payment, it's probably not the best time for you, because it's always good to have a little bit extra money when you do that. But the way we did it, we bought the property first, and then after a year, usually about a year, you can turn it into a rental property. Because of how we were in the military, it made things a lot easier. The second property we bought it straight out because I wanted to go in and buy the property, put down a good down payment. We bought the property straight out and spent some time working on repairs to build it up, fix it up. I think we had to paint it, tore out the carpet, put in tile. We put in, trimmed the landscaping, painting, as mentioned earlier, and it became a rental property within a few months. I think it took about 3 months to get everything all set up and to find a tenant after that. Next one, it's good to have income coming in. If you're an entrepreneur, if your pay fluctuates a lot, it'll be a lot harder to get a loan from a mortgage company, because a lot of times they want to see you have cash coming in. When you have that cash coming in, they'll see you have something to, some balance or some credit, so you can put down on the house, and also something to fall back on in case times get bad. Or if you're if your tenant decides to move out, it's good to have some money, because you will need some money to cover down on those time periods when your tenant decides to just move out. Every once in a while you will get a bad tenant. I'm not going to lie, we've had a couple of bad tenants in the past, but you look at it, the good outweighs the bad. But you also got to be very patient going through this. Next one is debt. Don't go into this a lot of debt, or don't try to buy anything that's going to change your whole credit score when you're doing that. So if you decide to buy a house, if you try to buy a car right before you decide to buy your house, that could really throw off your credit score. It could really look different in the eyes of the bank. So take your time. Try not to buy anything, really make any big purchases when you're trying to buy a house at the same time, or your rental property especially. So be careful when you do that. Try not to add any more additional expenses, because the banks will look at that differently. And there are other ways to do it. You can go to a hard money lender, but that's a totally different story, different topic. So I don't want to really get involved with that at this point. Next one is, you're buying a rental property. Make sure it's the right location. You want to make sure it could be on the best street, but don't buy the best house on that street, because your tenants are going to tear it up. You can buy a house that's on the best street, but it may need a little work, which is fine. You might put some paint here and there, maybe change out the carpet, or get the carpet cleaned, or something like that. So, but you want to make sure it's in the best location, because you want to think, if you're a tenant, if you're a renter looking for a house, a place to stay, they're going to do the same thing. They'll get, is it in the best neighborhood? You can buy it in the bad neighborhoods, but then you've got to be careful, because a lot of those bad neighborhoods, you're going to have a lot of high tenant turnover. They could go and tear up your place, or people in the area could tear up your place. So you've got to be careful of location. That's why they always say location, location, location. I know Robert Kiyosaki, he always says look at 100 houses before you find that one house. So be careful when you do that. As you know, I've been a big Kiyosaki fan. If you saw one of my other videos when I talked about that. See, I've read, these are just a couple books I've read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Real Estate Riches, and his real estate book. These are all good ideas, good knowledge to build up your comfort zone, your knowledge in the area, because it's not very simple when you do that. But if there's one book I really want to recommend you take a look at, is this one in here, The Weekend Millionaire Secret to Real Estate Investing. He kind of breaks it down because a lot of you may be working at this time period, and he's going to break it down for those who work, because he's going to give out some detailed steps you can do on the weekend, whether you're just checking out your area, checking out different properties on the weekend, when you're not working. So as a very good book, I highly recommend you check out. I'll leave a link below so you can check it out as well. Next one is, before you even sit out looking for your property, try to build your team. Anything going into real estate, it helps when you have a good team going out there. The team is going to be make or break you, really, because if you have a good team, it's going to help you out in the long run. Make sure you have a good real estate agent who's going to work with you, somebody you can get along with. Usually when I go through this, I'll look in usually a lot of times when I was in the military, I wouldn't be familiar with the area. So I'd go look through the yellow pages, or actually on Facebook or social media. I'd pull up who are some of the top agents in the area. I give them a call, try to feel them out over the phone. And then I go meet them face to face, because if you don't get along with them face to face, it'll make things a lot harder. So make sure you build up a good rapport with them, get to understand them pretty well. They understand you, what you're looking for. If they have some experience in real estate investing, that will help a little bit. But you want somebody really to have a good idea on what you're doing, and that'll make things a lot easier. The next one, make sure you work with a good mortgage company, a lender, a bank, or whoever it may be, because you want the terms to work out in your favor when you're looking for the rental property. The next one, your insurance agent or your insurance company, whoever's going to insure the property, make sure you have a couple of different companies lined up, because they'll all give you different quotes. So check them out, do your homework before that, find out who would be the best person or best company to work with you for your insurance. Lastly, look for a handyman or a handywoman or contractor, because you need a contractor or two on your side, because when it comes down, once you have that property ready to be, once you buy it, you have about 30, 60 days before you can do any repairs on it. You want to talk to a couple of those contractors, get some bids from them, see what they will give you for what will work out for them for fixing up the place if you don't want to do it yourself. Personally, I like to go hire somebody to do it. They're the expert. I'm not the expert. I'm not, even though I want to get involved with real estate investing, it's always good to hire the expert, the pros. Let them go in, do the work, not really make a mess of your place. Because if you're like me, I'd probably mess up your place if you want me to go work on your property, because I'm not the best. I'm not the handyman trying to do this. So have a good, good handful, or maybe one or two, maybe even three handyman available. You can contact, so get them bids from them, have them write it down on paper, get everything written on paper, what they can and can't do for you. You want to have that written on paper, because if something were to go wrong, you can pull that paper out and say, hey, this is what you said you were going to do for me. Okay, pull that paper out for them. And lastly, two more. The condition of the property. Make sure it's not too old, something you're comfortable with. You want to make sure whatever repairs you might need to do in the house, the property, you have the time, the availability to do that. Once you do that, you'll be able to fix up that property, get it ready to get out there on the market for that future renter, because a lot of times these renters are looking to get in that property sooner rather than later. You want to make sure it's comparable for the rents on the market. Don't go too overboard. A lot of times when you talk to your property manager will give you a good idea on what your property can rent for. Yeah, I think I might have hinted at it, but I've always used a property manager when I use my properties. The property manager will have a good grasp of the area that you're trying to rent your property for. So do that. Find the best property manager who's someone who can work with you, who contact you. Once there's a repair coming up, find out what the terms are. If it's $100 or $2 for the repair, a lot of times they'll fix it up for you without even contacting you. But a lot of times if it's over $200, they will usually contact you, say, hey, this is $300, $400 or whatever it may be. And they'll tell you, hey, can we get this repaired for the tenant that's in there now? work out what their agreements are, find out what they require from you to do that. And lastly is the biggest issue or biggest person you need to deal with this when you buy a real estate property is you. If you don't have the comfort zone to get into this, it's a completely different. It's something you don't control. It's out of your comfort zone a lot of times, because it might be the first time you've bought a property and you're rent out to a tenant in the future. You've got to be comfortable dealing with, you could have a bad tenant come in one day and you may not know that. The property manager can do all the homework. They can find out about that person, but you don't know what's going on in these minds of your tenant. They could be down, somebody could have lost their job. They could have personal issues going on where they got to spend money out to go pay for a family member. Or they could be smoking pot or something in your house, really messing up your place. So you've got to be comfortable dealing with that. If you're not comfortable dealing with that, then going into real estate investing may not be the best thing for you. A little freebie is if you're trying to rent out the property yourself, be your own property manager. Be careful, because it could be a lot of headache for you. You may not want to deal with that, because you have to be contacting them, when they have a leak in their this toilet, leak in the sink or whatever. Plumbing issues, could be electrical issues, could be issues with the stove or whatever it may be. So if you're comfortable, the handyman or whatever, if you can handle that when they contact you for things like that, then fine, go ahead and go with that. If you're not comfortable doing that, or if you want to, outsource it to a property manager, let them take care of that, let them deal with the headaches, and the most they'll give you maybe a call every month or so, give or take. An issue may come up, but a lot of times it could go on for many months. You might have nothing wrong with the property, which will be great. But hey, if you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. But I want to try to bring you more value, more knowledge about real estate investing, because I've done it for a while, and I'll probably bring you another one up in the very near future. I like to shoot these every Friday. Make sure you like this video if you haven't, and subscribe, and click the bell for notification. All right, take care. I'll see you again soon.